Hi, it's Nikki here from Happy Hormones for Life, and today I'm talking about another subject that is actually very close to my heart, osteoporosis. And that's because my mother suffers from it. She had a fracture, and she didn't know she had it until she had the fracture, which is often the case. She was in a supermarket car park, took off her seatbelt, and literally, as she was getting out of the car, her leg got caught and she fell, and her car is only a mini, so she probably fell about a foot onto the ground, and she fractured her hip. Not only fractured it, literally fractured it into smithereens. It sort of literally exploded. She spent a lot of time in hospital, and then they found out that obviously her hips were very brittle and she had osteoporosis. Now, obviously, that's a bit too late when you've had a fracture to find that out. So today I want to just talk about osteoporosis as a whole, what the risk factors are, and also how you can prevent getting it in the first place. So some of the stats are a little bit scary, particularly for women. Worldwide, 1 in 3 women over 50 will suffer an osteoporotic fracture, and only 1 in 5 men. So it's clearly a disease that affects women more, with over 60% of fractures occurring in women. Now, in Western hospitals, hip fractures occupy more beds than any other disease, with 20% dying as a result of the fracture and 50% losing their ability to live independently. So it's a really serious issue. Now, your bone is actually living tissue, so it's an active organ. Not a lot of people really know that, but it's been constantly being built and destroyed by your body. And as we get older, it's this balance of building and destruction that can get upset, and the more destruction happens, and then the new build, and that can leave your bones weak and brittle and easily broken. Now, bone health is usually measured by bone mineral density, or BMD, and that's a Dexa scan if you're in the UK. You can get this on the NHS once you're 65. But if you're over 50 and you feel like you're at increased risk of osteoporosis, you should be asking for a scan, really. Now, osteopenia, is the first stage of the disease, and that's where your bone mineral density is lower than it should be, but it's not low enough to be osteoporotic. Okay. Osteoporosis is where the BMD has decreased significantly and your risk of fracture is high. So, like I said, you don't usually get obvious symptoms. You usually find out when you've had the fracture, and these usually happens in your wrist, hips and ankles, and my mum's was obviously in her hip. So what are the risk factors for it? Well, of course, menopause is one of them. Because of the decline in estrogen, progesterone and testosterone, you need all 3 hormones to help with bone health. Genetics obviously involved, so I've got to be really careful and look after my bones. Vitamin D deficiency is a huge one. Vitamin D is very important for your bones, but vitamin D needs other nutrients to work with it. And these include magnesium, and that's possibly the most important one. We're always told that calcium is the most important, but actually insignificant magnesium in the diet is more of a factor. A study in the Journal of Nutritional Medicine in 1991 found that after 9 months, women on magnesium supplements increased their bone density by 11%. So it clearly makes a difference. Other bone building nutrients include boron, vitamin K2, which we don't get in our diet unless you're in Japan, calcium, strontium, molybdenum, and there are a few others as well. So we need all of these things to help the bone, not just calcium, not just vitamin D. Of course, another big factor, risk factor for osteoporosis, is lack of exercise, so lack of weight-bearing exercise. So it's a critical one when more and more of us are sedentary. Smoking is a big one. Nicotine stimulates that bone destruction process. Alcohol is another one, unfortunately. So this is an interesting one, actually, because studies show that 1 drink a day has a sort of protective effect, while 2 or more drinks a day has a negative effect. So you need to get that balance right. And I've done a video on alcohol before, so check that one out. Fizzy drinks is another one. Coke in particular, or cola. They think it's due to the phosphoric acid, but maybe something else in that Coke recipe as well that helps to block the calcium absorption, and that's the mechanism there. Caffeine is another one that stimulates calcium loss. This one's interesting too. 6 milligrams per 100 milligrams of caffeine, and that's about 1 cup that's the level that stimulates calcium loss. So 1 cup of coffee, basically. But studies suggest that less than 2 cups generally doesn't increase the risk, but more than 3 cups does, and that's caffeinated coffee. So for me, that's bad news, because I do love my caffeinated coffee in the morning, and I probably have about 3 cups over the day. I'm going to really cut back on that, because clearly I'm at extra risk genetically, so I'm going to either switch to decaf or just have the one in the morning. Heavily animal protein-based diets is another risk factor, including dairy. They seem to have a negative effect. Gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, where you've got malabsorption issues because of the nutrients that are needed. And also there's an autoimmune connection as well. So they found autoimmune antibodies to a protein that we make that stops bone breakdown. So the body is kind of attacking the bone system. So that's really an interesting side. So that's obviously linked to the gut. Everything's linked to the gut in the end. And of course, inflammation as well. They found that inflammation in the body increases bone destruction. So those are the sort of causal factors. And you can see that there are so many of them that we need to get our heads around. So what do we do about it? Well, we want to incorporate an anti-inflammatory diet to get rid of that inflammation. We want lots of fish oils and oily fish and healthy fats. We want to cut out gluten where possible if we're susceptible to this, because obviously there's a link there. We want to limit alcohol, caffeine, less animal protein, more plant foods are going to help with the bone process. Obviously, if you smoke, we need to try and cut that out. No more Cokes for anyone. Fizzy drinks in general, just need to be careful. We want a really good multivitamin and mineral with all those bone supporting nutrients in them. We want vitamin D3 and K2 together, because they work together and they make each other work. And you don't usually get enough in a multivitamin. So those we need to take separately. We want to think about our absorption in the gut. So we want some good digestive enzymes so that we can absorb those nutrients. If we're low in estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, we want to think about natural hormone replacement. So that's bioidentical, body identical hormone replacement, which you can ask your doctor for. Obviously try and get tested first, because you may not need them. Or if you want to go down the natural route, we can look at plant-based estrogens, like phytoestrogens, things like hops, soy, sage, black cohosh, all of those things. Look at my menopause supplements video for more information on that. And of course, really important, we want to be doing weight-bearing exercise. So that's walking, resistance, weights, some yoga or Pilates, something where you're bearing your own body weight is going to help a lot with your bones. So if you feel like you're at risk from the factors I've mentioned today, do go to your doctor and push for a Dexa scan, or talk to us about a plan to support your bones. The good news is that bone can always be rebuilt if you give it the raw materials. See you soon.